Batman is playing Galaga.
Welcome to Retro Gamer with Tall Paul.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Once again, coming from the arcade studios in my basement, we're going to play Galaxian, where I'm currently 195 on the leaderboards. Today's a double feature. We're going to play 2 games of Galaxian. Today we have a special guest telling us a story about Spiderzilla. Special guest, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Russ. I've been friends with Paul for about 32 years. Over these years, Paul and I have had numerous adventures, perhaps none as impactful as the summer of '96, when Paul and I traveled to Hong Kong and China as members of Simpson University's men's basketball team. And while there are numerous highlights from this trip together to Hong Kong and China, one of the memories, or 2 of the memories that stand out most, have to do with insects, arachnids, mosquitoes, etc. And what I learned in those tropical locations is that they increase in number, variety, and intensity, particularly when it comes to spiders, because I hate spiders. Always have and probably always will. And our first experience began as Paul and I settled into a hotel room in China. And he and I were commonly roommates on this trip. And I remember walking into the hotel room, and there was one bed up against the wall in the corner of the room. And there was another bed kind of out in the middle of the room. And I took the bed in the middle, and I remember setting down my suitcase on the foot of the bed and unzipping it and beginning to unpack my belongings while talking to Paul. And Paul had entered in the room, chosen his bed, and immediately proceeded to sit down on said bed. Now, keep in mind, Paul is 6'8", probably a svelte, handsome, 250 pounds at the time. And so when Paul sits on things, the things know it.
Okay, enough polite fat jokes.
I'm unpacking my things. I'm talking to Paul. I turn to look at Paul, and as I do, behind Paul, out from the bed, onto the wall, crawls the most massive spider I have ever encountered. I can't say that it was quite the size of a dinner plate, but it's in the conversation. And I immediately froze in sheer panic. Paul's looking back at me, having no idea what it is I'm responding to, and so he begins his own version of panic.
The expression on Russ's face as he was talking to me became one of just sheer horror, as if Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street had just popped up from the other side of the bed. So I immediately freak out like, "What? What is it?" Sorry, Russ, continue.
He turns, he sees the spider, and now we join each other in sheer panic. He jumps off the bed. I sprint to the middle of the room. We are jumping, we are squealing, we are clutching, petrified that this spider is going to kill either one of us at any moment.
Okay, this was not a normal spider. Has anyone seen Aliens? The creature that comes out and grabs people's faces and then impregnates them with the alien? This was a spider that size, without the tail, and flesh-colored. I had never seen a flesh-colored spider. Okay, sorry, Russ.
While we're reacting, there's a subtle knock at the door. The door opens. In walks one of the maids of the hotel that we were staying.
Okay, you're making me do it again. Okay, we were holding each other in the center of this room. The spider was on the wall. We attempted to move towards the doorway. It walked on the wall towards the doorway as if it was going to jump off and eat us. When the knock happened, we were so freaked out, we started screaming, "Save yourself! Don't come in!" as we thought for sure that spider was going to jump off the wall and eat whoever walked in the room. That Chinese lady opened the door despite our shrieked warnings, and we thought we were going to witness our first human sacrifice in China. Okay, Russ, go ahead.
She is Chinese, speaks no English. We are American, speak no Chinese. So we have no way of communicating to this poor worker what it is that we are frightened of. So we just freeze once again. We watch her as she enters the room, sets down a towel, turns to leave the room, totally unaware that death stands just a foot away from her, and we had no means of telling her and warning her, fearing that the spider at any moment would jump on her, attack her, drag her out into the hall, and probably wrap her up for a later snack.
Like Frodo and the giant spiders in Lord of the Rings. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Russ.
Fortunately, that doesn't happen. She closes the door. We began to hug, clutch, jump, scream once again. Ultimately, we regain some measure of composure, and we have to decide what it is we're going to do. So I, of course, rationalized with Paul and attempt to compel him to take care of this spider threat foe that has entered our room, because he is 6'8", 250 pounds, and I believe he wears a size 15 shoe.
Your rationale was like, hey, you're so much bigger than I am. Like, because I'm big, I'm the spider killer.
So I do convince Paul to do the deed. And so he picks it up, his size 15 shoe. He walks over to the wall. He smashes the spider with his shoe. The spider flies off the wall, rolls up into a ball about the size of a small orange right in front of the entrance into the bathroom. Neither of us had the courage to mess with that spider, and so that carcass remained in front of the door as long as we continued to be in that room, and we would jump over the carcass in and out of the bathroom because we were too scared to touch the spider.
We stayed in that room for a few days, so we constantly had to remember to jump over that carcass.
Later, we end up in the team bus with the rest of the athletes, and we tell them about the spider, and we are quickly dismissed. The team convinced that we are greatly exaggerating the size and fierceness of this spider, which left us a little invalidated, a little hurt, a little upset that they didn't believe in the veracity of our story. Well, that is part one of 2 parts of the Chinese spider I affectionately refer to as Spiderzilla.
Thanks, Russ. Stay tuned for part 2 in this video. High score alert, I have just broken my record. Every point a new high score. We'll see how long I can last. And the answer is not long. Okay, we're going to put another quarter in and see what we can do for game number 2. Russ, tell us about Spiderzilla Part 2.
Part 2, the rest of the Spiderzilla story. Weeks go by. We have traveled through China. We have returned to Hong Kong, where we began our trip. The entire team is rooming in one room full of bunk beds, one door in and out.
I just want to add that this is a gospel camp in Hong Kong for children. The room has a ton of bunk beds in it, but the bunk beds are designed for small kids, so every bunk bed has boards around it like you're sleeping in a crib or a toddler bed.
It's the night before we fly back to our homes in the United States. So we're all in good spirits. We're chatting it up. We're reminiscing. We're getting ready for bed. I'm in the top bunk, right above Paul.
In his crib-like toddler bed. Sorry, continue, Russ.
The bunk that Paul and I are in is directly across from the door in and out of the room. Above the door is a window that is not entirely transparent. It has a finish, right? So it allows light in, but you can't see in or out. I'm lying in the top bunk, Paul's lying in the bottom bunk, when all of a sudden, the same type of spider that we encountered in China crawls out from behind one of the bunk beds and positions itself on the window right above the only way in and out of this room. I immediately panic once again, because the worst thing I can imagine is that spider scurrying away and hiding itself in the room that I have to sleep in all night. So I immediately lean over the side of the bunk and point out the spider to Paul and say, Paul, you know what you need to do? You need to kill this spider.
Okay, Russ is poking his head over his little crib wall and demanding that I, once again, be the spider killer. No! Someone else will be the spider killer this time.
Paul looks at me. He looks at the spider. He rolls over and says, I've done it once. I'm not doing it again.
Yep.
I'm fighting panic. I need a strategy. So I go to the next tallest person on our team. His name is Jared. And I say, Jared, look at that spider. I need you to kill that spider. Jared says, yeah, okay, I can do that. He picks up Paul's size 15 shoe because that's just the smart thing to do. He walks over to the spider, cocking the large shoe over his shoulder. He preps to swing the shoe at the spider, but the spider moves as Jared moves. It was one of the most disconcerting things I have experienced. That spider was aware enough to consistently shift his position on the window to ensure that he's staring directly at anybody that crosses his path. Jared understandably is unnerved by this behavior of the spider. He drops the shoe, he runs away saying he cannot kill that spider. I'm working on plan C. Who can I convince to kill that spider? When suddenly, one of our teammates who is not in the room begins to make his entrance. Eric opens the door. He walks into the room, towel around his waist, after just taking, obviously, a shower. He walks in and sees the 8 of us motioning at him and yelling at him to stop and run away because of the massive spider that is directly above his head that he has no idea is there.
Imagine entering a room and having 8 guys yell at you, No, Eric, no, Eric, no!
He, seeing our response, panics, runs into the room, towel falls off. He's now naked. We're laughing at him, momentarily distracted from the threat of this spider that has posted himself above the only entrance and exit into the room. We compose ourselves. Eric grabs the towel, puts it back around his waist, and he's now motivated to take care of the spider and recover or repair his reputation within the team. And so Eric again does the smart thing and he grabs Paul's size 15 shoe. He gives me a job and says, Russ, you need to go outside. You need to hold the door open. In case I miss, it can run out into the jungle. I, of course, wanted nothing to do with this, but couldn't argue with the rationale of this plan. So I agree. So I put on my shoes. I, as quickly as I can, scurry underneath the window. I'm holding the door open while remaining as far away from the spider as I possibly can. I can see his shadowy silhouette through the window from outside.
And all the while we're yelling, Oh no, it's gonna move, oh no, and just freaking Russ out.
Eric slowly walks over to the window, the spider constantly shifting to ensure that Eric can't get the jump on him. Eric raises the shoe above his head. Eric slams the shoe into the window, shaking the window. The spider drops halfway to the floor, hangs there suspended for a moment, then falls to the floor. Half of the spider curls up, as spiders are known to do when they die. The other half lays outstretched. The entire team begins to move in on the spider to determine whether it is alive or dead. Ryan, in his chonies, grabs a hanger, reaches down, and pokes the spider, because what else are you going to do? The only way to know if a critter is alive or dead is to poke it with something. He pokes it with the hanger. The half of the spider that was still outstretched begins to flop around on the floor, spinning it in circles. The team huddle over the spider, erupts into disarray. Ryan is hanging between 2 bunk beds in his chonies, screaming in fear from the monster that is flipping around on our bedroom floor.
Breaking news, another high score alert. And I'm dead. That's all we have time for today. Thanks, Russ. I moved up to 185 on the leaderboard. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and click the links for more videos. Thanks for watching.